Europe realized that almost like 95% of their payment processing went through United States payment systems. What really started this was when Visa canceled Russia. They cut them off from their networks in 2022. They thought ain't nobody see this. So if you cut him off, we didn't even think about that. They can just shut off our payment systems? They were like, oh, we have to immediately get some new payment systems in here because this is dangerous. The head of the European Payment Initiative, deep integration created dependencies that could be abused when not all partners were allies. So they didn't switch payment systems. It's called Wero, W-E-R-O. And they already have 48.5 million people using the system. And by 2027, they're going to remove all of their stuff out of Visa and MasterCard and put it into their domestic payment system. Do you know what that's going to do? I'll tell you. That's going to cost American system $24 trillion. 1.4 trillion of that is MasterCard alone. It processes over 7 trillion euros annually. It's 1.5% on the fees. That equates to about $21 billion we're about to lose. So that's Microsoft Teams, Visa, MasterCard. Who else? And they thought we were friends. They thought we were cool. There wasn't gonna be no problems. We'll stick beside y'all. Y'all stick beside us. And then Trump came, second time. Because it ain't us. We're not that evil. We wouldn't do that. But you didn't think it was going to happen this fast, which is what a lot of people are saying. They didn't think that they would be able to switch so quickly to a new payment processing system. And what's so great about their new payment processing system, you ask? I'll tell you. Their payment processing system is a tap to pay. It's a one-click checkout. And they have instant refunds. Not 7 to 10 business days in America. You took it instantly out my account. They called it a geopolitical urgency to unacceptable vulnerability to policy volatility. Is that not good? Because it's succinct. That's a proper sentence. Also, the ICE protests are causing such a problem overseas because everyone is seeing what's happening, especially what happened in Minnesota. They're redirecting their investment dollars. They're investing in Canada and Europe now. This is what has to happen. You have to see the consequences of your choices. You don't want to play with nobody nicely. You think everybody sweet. Okay.
Seems like the UK doesn't want Trump to be able to cut off 95% of all card payments that are processed through Visa and MasterCard. So UK bank bosses are meeting in order to establish a national alternative so their economy doesn't get sent back to the 1950s. The project, which is city-funded but government-backed, has actually been in development for several years, but recent political tensions and threats from Donald Trump have sort of pushed this summit to meet for the first time this week. They're not the only one. The European Central Bank has rolled out the European Payments Initiative, which does something very similar, although they're not looking to do it collaboratively with Visa and MasterCard like the UK is, but it's part of a broader trend of an interest in decoupling from American-owned or operated entities because they're worried about the amount of leverage and control that the American government can have on them given the geopolitical context. So while these things were already underway, because of the political climate and public pressure, this has given them a big push to move forward now. Essentially, the British and the Europeans want to be able to pay and transfer money without it ever touching a single American network or paying a single American fee. See, this is one of those things that's going to have more permanent ramifications for an American business because right now, Visa and MasterCard process and charge transaction fees on $4.7 trillion in payment volume in Europe every year.
So Europe is breaking up with American payment systems. And no, it's not about money. It's about trust. So Europe has said enough is enough, right? Because every time somebody in Europe taps their card to pay for something, well, something special happened. Every transaction runs through American payment systems. Y'all know what comes with that. Not just your money moving, but your data moving too. Who bought what, where, when, and for how much. And because data's king, and your receipts tell the entire story. Now here's the part that made Europe sit up straight. America doesn't feel like a reliable ally anymore. Privacy is shaky, politics shaky, oversight real shaky. So now the EU is going to build their own payment system. 16 major banks, one European payment network, and their data stays with them. It made me ask a question though. Why are we comfortable with corporations knowing so much more about us than even our own government should?
Europe just launched a payment system designed to replace Visa and MasterCard. Vera has now 48.5 million users across Belgium, France, and Germany, and just signed agreements to expand to 130 million users across 13 countries. This is not a pilot program. This is the European Union systematically building infrastructure to eliminate American control over how Europeans spend money. I'm Elle of House of Elle on YouTube. I have a PhD in computer science, and I use data analysis to spot patterns in geopolitics and economics. The pattern here is payment sovereignty. Europe is moving trillions of dollars in transaction volume off American-controlled networks because they've concluded that dependence on U.S. financial infrastructure has become a strategic liability. Martina Weimert, CEO of the European Payments Initiative, told the Financial Times, my favorite newspaper, that Europe is highly dependent on international payment solutions and needs action urgently. The EPI is an alliance of 16 European banks, including BNP Paribas and Deutsche Bank. Visa and MasterCard process nearly 2/3 of Eurozone card transactions, and 13 EU countries have no national alternative to those American companies. Here's what makes this significant. Former ECB President Mario Draghi said deep integration created dependencies that could be abused when not all partners were allies. Interdependence, once seen as a source of mutual restraint, became a source of leverage and control. That was a quote from him. When a former central bank president publicly states that American payment infrastructure could be weaponized, that is not speculation. That is European institutions pricing geopolitical risk into their infrastructure decisions. The numbers show execution and not just planning. Vera has processed over 7.5 billion euros in transfers and counts more than 1,100 members institutions. Retail payments went live in Germany at the end of 2025, with merchants including Lidl, Decathlon, and Rossmann already accepting Vera online. France and Belgium are now following in 2026. The real acceleration, I think, came on February 2nd, when EPI signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the EuroPA Alliance, a coalition of national payment systems, including Italy's Bancomat, Spain's Bizum, Portugal's MBWay, and the Nordics' Vipps Mobile Pay. This is not 16 banks anymore. This is the integration of existing national payment systems into one unified European network covering around 130 million users. Here's the mechanism that matters here. Vera is built on SEPA instant credit transfers. Users send money using just a phone number, no IBAN, no credit number, no American intermediary processing the transaction. The system allows Europeans to pay and transfer money across borders without touching a single American network. For those tracking how European financial decoupling accelerates under pressure, check my video on China ordering a massive bond sell-off. The mechanisms are